Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee English. I am here with you today because millions of English learners around the world are making the same mistake. They are working very hard, spending hours every day studying, and yet they stay stuck at the same level for months or even years. Today, we are going to discover something that might completely change how you think about learning English vocabulary. We are going to explore why the most popular way to learn English words is actually keeping you from making real progress. This discovery will help you understand why you might feel frustrated with your English, even when you know hundreds of words. By the end of this episode, you will understand exactly why your brain finds it hard to use the words you have learned. More importantly, you will discover a simple but powerful way to break free from this trap and start using English with real confidence. I want you to think about your own English learning journey as we explore this topic together. Have you ever felt like you know many English words, but find it hard to use them in real conversations? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who is facing the same challenge. Let me start with an amazing discovery that scientists made about how our brains learn language. Research shows that when we learn new words, our brain creates stronger memories when those words appear in many different texts, rather than being repeated many times in the same place. This finding surprised many language teachers and students. For years, everyone believed that repetition was the key to learning vocabulary. Students would repeat the same word again and again, hoping it would stay in their memory. But brain research showed something completely different. Our brain loves context when it comes to learning language. When we can put a new word in a real sentence that can be used in real conversation, our brain creates much stronger connections. This means that seeing a word in 5 different situations is much more powerful than seeing it 50 times in the same situation. Think about this for a moment. Your brain is not a simple recording machine. It is a complex network that builds meaning through connections. When you learn a word alone, you give your brain very little to work with. But when you learn that same word in different contexts, you help your brain build a rich web of understanding. This discovery leads us to an uncomfortable truth that most English learners do not want to hear. Every day, thousands of English learners search online for lists of the most common English words. They find titles like Learn the Top 100 Words and Speak English Fluently, or These 500 Words Are All You Need for Perfect English. These promises sound amazing, and millions of people download these lists with high hopes. The idea seems logical. If these are the most frequently used words in English, then learning them should give you the biggest improvement in the shortest time. It sounds like a perfect shortcut to fluency. But there is a problem with this logic that most people do not see until it is too late. Now let me tell you what scientists have discovered about these popular word lists. Teachers love these lists because they help them plan their lessons. They can look at the list and think about which words to teach first. But here is the problem. Very few studies have actually checked if these lists really help students speak better English. So what happens when you sit down with one of these famous lists? You start learning basic words. Words like the or and. Simple words like is and have. These words show up everywhere in English, so they always appear at the top of every frequency list. This seems logical, right? But wait, here comes the shocking truth that nobody tells you. These words are incredibly difficult to use correctly if you do not understand English grammar first. Let me give you a perfect example with the word have. When you see this word on a frequency list, it looks so simple. Just 4 letters, but this tiny word has so many different jobs in English sentences. Sometimes, have means you own something like, I have a car. But other times, have is just a helper word that makes present perfect tense, like, I have finished my work. Then you have expressions like have to, which means must. You also see have been, which is used for continuous tenses. Can you see the problem now? Learning the word have from a list gives you almost zero ability to actually use it in real conversations. You need to understand all these different grammar rules first. Here is something that will surprise you about these frequency lists. About 70 out of every 100 words on these lists are what we call function words. These are small connecting words. Words like with and in. Words like but and or. And pronouns like this and that. These words are like invisible glue. They hold English sentences together, but they have no meaning by themselves. Think about the word with. It seems so simple when you see it on a list. But when do you actually use with? Do you say, I am angry with my friend, or I am angry at my friend? Do you agree with someone, or do you agree to something? Each of these tiny words has dozens of different ways to use them. You cannot learn these uses from a simple list. You need to see them working inside real sentences again and again. The same thing happens with pronouns like this and that. Sure, you can memorize that these are common English words. But that knowledge is completely useless until you understand when to choose each one in real situations. These words look simple, but they actually require deep understanding of how English sentences work. Here comes the most shocking discovery of all. Language researchers have found that to truly use the most common 100 English words well, you need much more than just those words. You need to understand how they connect with other words and how they work in real sentences. Think about what this means. To use 100 words fluently, you actually need to understand how English grammar works and know many more words that give meaning to your sentences. This completely destroys the promise of frequency lists. You cannot take a shortcut to fluency by learning common words first. Recent brain research using modern technology shows that when learners create their own example sentences for new words rather than just remembering given definitions, their brains show much stronger learning patterns. This means your brain learns vocabulary most effectively when you actively use words in meaningful situations. Your brain has developed over thousands of years to learn language through social interaction and meaningful communication. When you try to remember isolated words from lists, you are fighting against how your brain naturally works. Brain research shows that language learning activates social brain networks. Your brain expects to learn words through interaction and context, not through simple repetition. This is why you can remember 100 words from a list but still freeze up in real conversations. Your brain needs to see how words connect with other words, how they change in different situations, and what emotions or ideas they carry. A frequency list cannot provide any of this important information. Many students who study frequency lists experience what we can call false confidence. They feel good because they recognize many words when reading or listening. They think, I know this word, when they see familiar vocabulary. But recognizing a word is completely different from being able to use it. Knowing that you have seen a word before does not mean you can use it correctly in speech or writing. This creates a dangerous illusion of progress. Students think they are improving because they understand more, but their speaking ability stays at the same level. So what should you do instead of memorizing frequency lists? The answer is both simple and powerful. Learn vocabulary through meaningful exposure to real English combined with smart techniques that actually work. Let me share with you 2 techniques that research has proven to be incredibly effective. These are methods that students around the world are using right now to build real vocabulary that they can actually use in conversations. The first technique combines the best of both worlds. You find new words in real English content that interests you, and then you use digital flashcards to remember them. But here is the key difference from traditional flashcard methods. Instead of putting just the word and translation on your card, you put the whole sentence where you found the word. For example, if you read the weather forecast shows rain tomorrow and you want to learn the word forecast, you put the entire sentence on your flashcard. This way, every time you review the card, you see the word in its natural context. Your brain learns not just what forecast means, but exactly how to use it. One language expert named Gabriel Weiner learned over 4,000 new words in 10 months using this approach. He wrote about this method in his popular book, Fluent Forever. The secret was combining meaningful reading with spaced repetition flashcards that included full context. The second technique is called spaced repetition, and it is based on a simple but powerful discovery about how memory works. Research shows that learning becomes more effective when study sessions are spaced out over time rather than concentrated in one big session. Here is how it works. When you learn a new word today, you review it again tomorrow. If you remember it correctly, you wait 3 days before reviewing it again. If you remember it again, you wait a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. Each time you successfully remember the word, the gap between reviews gets longer. This technique works because it tests your memory at exactly the right moment. Just when you are about to forget a word, you see it again. This makes the memory stronger in your brain. Studies with medical students have shown that students using spaced repetition apps get much better test results compared to traditional study methods. The best part about spaced repetition is that you can use free apps like Anki that automatically calculate the perfect time to show you each word again. You just focus on learning, and the app takes care of the timing. Instead of studying isolated words, expose yourself to English content that interests you. Read stories, watch videos, listen to podcasts about topics you care about. When you meet new words in these contexts, add them to your spaced repetition system with full context sentences. Research confirms that when you put a new word in sentences that can be used in real conversation, or when you study vocabulary that is personally interesting to you, your brain creates much stronger memory paths. This approach takes longer at first, but it leads to true fluency. You learn not just what words mean, but how they feel when to use them and how they connect with other ideas. Today, I want to share a phrase that perfectly captures our topic. The phrase is putting the cart before the horse. This means doing things in the wrong order or trying to achieve results without first building the necessary foundation. Learning frequency lists is like putting the cart before the horse. You are trying to use advanced vocabulary skills before building the basic foundation of contextual understanding. Master the foundation first, and the advanced skills will develop naturally. This phrase comes from the logical idea that a horse must pull a cart, not the other way around. In English learning, context is the horse and vocabulary knowledge is the cart. Let context pull your vocabulary forward, not the opposite. We have discovered today that the most popular approach to vocabulary learning is actually a trap that keeps learners stuck. Frequency lists promise quick results, but deliver frustration and slow progress. Your brain is designed to learn language through meaningful interaction, not simple memorization. When you embrace this natural process, you stop fighting against your brain and start working with it. The path forward is clear. Stop chasing shortcuts and start building real foundations. Expose yourself to rich, contextual English content. Let your vocabulary grow naturally through meaningful encounters with the language. Remember, every expert was once a beginner who refused to give up. The difference between those who achieve fluency and those who stay stuck is not talent or intelligence. It is choosing the right approach and staying committed to the process. Your English journey is unique and valuable. Every step you take, every mistake you make, every small victory you achieve is building toward something beautiful. Trust the process, embrace the journey, and let your natural learning abilities guide you to fluency. Thank you for joining me today on Coffee English. I hope this episode has given you a new way of thinking about vocabulary learning and inspired you to try a more natural approach. Remember, the goal is not just to know English words, but to use them with confidence and authenticity. Focus on meaningful content, trust your brain's natural learning process, and be patient with your progress. If this episode helped you understand something new about language learning, please share it with someone else who might benefit. Your support helps us reach more learners around the world. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and keep growing. I will see you in the next episode of Coffee English. Until then, keep learning and keep dreaming. Goodbye for now.